Kuro has officially released Mornye's signature weapon along with the full information of the stats that it provides. And after going through her kit information, the TLDR of this video is that it has great value for those planning to pull for Mornye, but you'll be fine without it if you cannot afford it. So in today's video, I'll be diving deeper into the pull value of this weapon by analyzing how it easily synergizes with Mornye using the kit information that was provided earlier to give you guys an idea of what to expect from her gameplay and build. Then we'll dive into which characters can benefit from this weapon from a free-to-play perspective, other weapon options available for Mornye, and finally my pull recommendation explaining why skipping this weapon should be fine. For the stats, she's rocking a 77% energy regen like brand signature with a low base attack of 412. The low base attack shouldn't be a problem because the first part of her passive being defense and her liberation providing defense percentage to all teammates highly suggests that her healing and personal damage output will scale off defense, just like Showkeeper's weapon passive that provides HP. The 77% energy regen will also come in quite handy when trying to reach the 260% total energy regen that is needed for all her teammates to get the 40% universal damage bonus. Keep in mind that this buff will only work when she's paired with Lene. To add a bit more clarification to her optimal build, running double energy regen adds up to the 77% from her weapon, giving you 241% energy regen, and you can get 10% from the reactor husk if you're running Halo of Starry Radiant and 10% from Fallacy of No Return if you're running Rejuvenating Glow. Keep in mind that both sets are viable on Mornye because they both provide 25% attack. This passive right here also gives you 10% energy regen, so you get a total of 261% energy regen without substats when running her signature weapon. But if you want to squeeze out a little bit more continuous healing, which will be very good when playing harder endgame content like holograms, you can run a defense percent 3 cost and energy regen 3 cost echo, then get the remaining 31% from your substat, which should not be difficult. Keep in mind that the 4 cost and 1 cost echoes will be defense percent. Now let's get into the passives. The defense buff from the first part is really good for Mornye to make her liberation hit much harder since it's guaranteed to crit if you have at least 20% crit rate, and it receives a 160% crit damage as long as you were able to get the 260% total energy regen that I mentioned earlier. This is why I recommended a defense 4-cost echo instead of healing bonus, and I highly recommend that you roll some liberation damage bonus substats on her echoes as well. The second passive grants 8% concerto energy, and if you take a look at her combat rolls, it doesn't include concerto efficiency, so this 8% will be needed to shorten her field time. But keep in mind that this doesn't necessarily make the weapon a must pull because you can easily regenerate 8% concerto energy by doing some additional basic attacks in her flying mode, which should not increase her field time by a lot, due to the concerto energy that she can already get from this passive. The third part of the passive grants a team-wide 20% crit damage when Mornye performs healing lasting for 4 seconds. You can easily refresh the 20% crit damage when you're inside Mornye's Symphony field or her domain, which heals the active resonator once every 3 seconds. But you're cooked if the enemy steps out of the domain, which is the only way to get continuous healing. In terms of synergy with other units, don't even bother because no one else can use it. For her weapon alternatives, Discord Broadblade should be the first priority. It provides concerto energy, which is good to shorten her field time and provides a really decent energy regen substat, so if you run double energy regen, you only have to get 25% energy regen from your substat. The last option, if you don't have Discord Broadblade, is the Broadblade 41. You'll spend more time on the field when using this weapon since the passive does not provide any concerto energy, and the low energy regen substats of 32% means that you'll need to get 44% energy regen from substats when running double energy regen, which can burn a lot of resources. The difference in damage buffs between her signature weapon and all her weapon alternatives will be provided in our dedicated guide video, so be sure to look forward to it. Now here are my pull recommendations. Mornye provides 25% all-type attribute damage amplification from her Ultra skill, which is 10% higher than Showkeeper's, and provides up to 40% universal damage bonus to all teammates, which means that aside from the DPS unit that she's meant to synergize with, you can play her and Lene with any DPS as long as they don't rely on negative status effect and echo skill cast. But unlike Showkeeper, Mornye does not provide crit rate, which is a major issue for nuke-type DPS units like Carlotta and those that do not have crit rate on their skill tree like Zhangliao, Calcharo, and future DPS units that can work with Mornye. Units that have crit rate weapon like Zhangliao can switch to a crit rate focused echo to fix this issue to some extent, but it doesn't apply to everyone like Carlotta, for example, which kinda defeats the whole point of Mornye being a universal buffer that can work with almost any DPS. So the weapon would have been an absolute must pull if it provided crit rate instead of crit damage, so that you won't have to worry about whether the DPS that you're pairing Mornye and Linne with has crit rate on their skill tree or does nuke type damage, leading to less crit fishing during your endgame runs to maintain your sanity. So feel free to skip it if you can barely afford to pull for Mornye and the weapon. That'll be all for Mornye's weapon pull value breakdown. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel because it's free and you can always change your mind. Our Discord link will be in the pinned comment if you're having any issues with the game, help with your build, or you just want a place to chill or hang out. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.